Hi, so this is a video I've desperately wanted to do to spend some good time on walking you step by step almost on constructing your very own memory palace. The video is just audio really. This is going to be a mental exercise for you, but a really fun one. And I think you're going to surprise yourself if you do the exercise that's in it. And there's only really one, but I'm just going to walk you through square one, building a room, placing stops, just everything you're going to need to start exercising that memory and showing and really surprising all those around you with what a great memory you've got. Whereas in fact, we've all got a great memory. It's just either untrained or trained, and it's going to be great. So yeah, like and subscribe, but enjoy the video. Welcome to the Memory Palace construction video. So in this video, I will guide you in the process of creating a space within your mind where you can create your very own memory palace. Now, I had hinted at how to construct a memory palace when I made a video on how to memorize the 12 animal Chinese New Years. But I wanted to create a video that was more audio than visual to walk you through the process exactly, to take you from basically square one. Now, though we use the term palace, it really doesn't have to be a palace. It can be as simple as a single room within your house that serves to house a collection of items. But as you commit more things to memory, as you want to memorize more and more things and add them to your memory palace, you're going to need to create other spaces so that you can fit in all the things you want to recall later. So let's just dive in. Let's begin. So now, unless you're driving or doing anything that's potentially dangerous, the first thing I want you to do is just close your eyes and picture your home from the outside. Now, people usually have excellent visualization skills and can imagine the outside and inside of their homes really easily. But even if you can't, there's a way around that too. And you can just go around with a notepad or your camera phone or whatever, and you can take pictures or you can jot down descriptions of various things that capture your attention. So there's a workaround, even if you're not that great remembering what's outside and what's inside. But just close your eyes and visualize your home from the outside. Now, with your eyes closed, I want you to observe the outside of your house. Is there a car parking spot? Is there a car parked, whether yours or a neighbour's? Are there bins nearby? Can you see the front lawn within your mind? I really want you to focus on these things, make them as vivid as if you're actually there within your mind. So you can walk up to the car, you can interact with it, you can walk across the lawn, you can feel the grass underneath your feet. These are fully immersive experiences. That's what I want you to imagine here. Now, all of these things, what I've just mentioned, are what I call stops. Stops are parts of a location where we can effectively bind an image, where we're going to put an image next to, on top of, underneath of, and any other number of ways that an image can interact. Now, I'll give you an example here. In my periodic video, I told you that my third element, lithium, which I picture as a battery, is leaking next to the bins outside of my home. You see that the bins are the stop, and the image, the battery, represents the element lithium. So I'm going to give you a task. I want you to pick 3 to 4 of these stops and get used to selecting them one by one in a linear fashion. So remember, by stops, I mean bins, a car parking spot, anything that sort of stands out. Even a lamppost, anything like that. So I want you to pick 3 to 4 of these stops. Now, when I say that I want you to pick them out one by one in a linear fashion, what I mean is this. If you look first at the bins, then a parking spot, then the front door, that order should always remain the same no matter what. It should never change. Now, this may not seem important, but let's say you were memorizing the periodic table, and that the numbered order makes all the difference then. I mean, if element 3, lithium, is at the bins, and element 4 is at the parking spot, then you wouldn't want them to get confused. You wouldn't want to mix up element 3 with element 4. You would always want to go through the stops in the proper order. So you would look first at the bins, then the parking spot. So get used to observing your 3 to 4 stops in a linear fashion from one to the other to the other. Never to get confused, and look at them in reverse order, say. So with your eyes closed, go through the stops you've chosen a few times. So they will never change until you need to familiarise yourself with them. So I want you to pick 4 stops if you can. 4 of these stops that are outside your home. Can you believe it? You've just built a memory palace. Congratulations. I know it seems simple. You're probably thinking all I have is 3 or 4 stops. What good is that? But I'm going to show you the good in that. I'm going to show you. So with your eyes closed, think to yourself of this. Next time you have to pick up milk, bread, sellotape, and a sandwich from the shops, you won't need to write it down. You would just place the items by the stops you've already thought of. So I'm going to walk you through this process just to show you how easy and pretty much how powerful it is to surprise you at the strength of your own memory. Now, let's take a first stop. Let's say it's the bins. You can imagine a cow being milked by the bins. Make that image as disturbing or as strange as possible. So just imagine a cow being milked by the bins, the milk's going everywhere. You could perhaps imagine a giant loaf of bread sitting where the car should be. Perhaps there's a mass of sellotape engulfing yours or a neighbour's car, wrapped around it. And finally, perhaps there is a large sandwich blocking your way to the front door. Now, I want you to try and make those images stick right now to your memory palace. I'll allow a brief amount of time for you to do so. So I want you to get those 4 stops and bind an image that involves milk to one of the stops. The next stop should have bread. The next stop should have sellotape. And the next stop should be a sandwich. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time now to memorize those. Okay, how did you do? Okay, that was about 30 seconds that was. Now, with a bit of experience, you'll find that 30 seconds will be long enough to memorize 10, 15, 20. I mean, you'll be very rapid at first, later on. But at first, I gave you 30 seconds just to memorize 4 things. Basically, I want you to get the practice in, getting your imagination working, placing vivid and detailed images next to your memory palace stops. Now, once you've got to the shops, all you would need to do is do a quick walkthrough of your palace, and you would record those strange images, reminding you of what you need to buy. So you would literally just be in the shop, close your eyes, and just do a brief walkthrough. Now, here's the cool thing. The memory palace is essentially infinite in nature. You are only limited by the number of stops you have within your memory palace. If you have a memory palace of 200 stops, that's 200 things remembered, 200 images. So you're only limited by the number of stops you have. Okay, here's something else, and this is perhaps one of the most important aspects of the memory palace. Make your images disturbing, scary, politically incorrect, whatever it may take to make it more memorable to your mind. If you do that, I promise you'll have very few problems recollecting what you need. Okay, so we've covered the exterior of the property. Why don't you, in your mind, with your eyes closed, push open the front door and walk in? I want you to really imagine this: pushing open the door, leaning down on the handle, even using a key. All of it will train your imagination. Training yourself to close your eyes and immerse yourself fully within the memory palace will help you to recall things later. Eventually, you'll be able to access memories with your eyes open. You won't always need to keep your eyes closed, but it's good practice for now because it reduces the amount of distractions that you'll have with your eyes open. Now, inside your house, shut the door, and what rooms do you see? Are there stairs? Is there a hall? All of these things matters as you can use them to place images. Now, I recommend discretion here. Here's a tip. One needs to avoid overcrowding any particular space with too many images. Let's say you have a hall. Now, I would advise assigning one image per hallway, one image per staircase. So with one flight of stairs, I'd recommend just one image. Perhaps one or two images per room depending on the size of the room. For instance, if you have a smaller bathroom than the lounge, you're going to want to place less images in the bathroom than you would the lounge. Here's another tip: evenly space your images so that they are readily accessible, and that's really part of it. Don't overcrowd. You can evenly space your images. Another tip: the environment of the memory palace should be well lit. Now, I have background music playing within the spaces of my memory palace, as it serves both a mnemonic device but also as a place to relax. My memory palace is so much more than just a mnemonic device. It's a place to meditate, to relax. And soon enough, if you build your memory palace, you'll probably find you'll end up doing the same. Now, adding detail and textures to the memory palace will enable swifter and much easier recall when you need it. That's why I've said in previous videos, no still images will work. You need the images to be moving in some way. You need to be interacting with those. You need to have people interacting with the images. All of these things will enable much swifter recall. Okay, so in your lounge, I want you to close your eyes. Imagine your lounge. Now, you may have sofas, a TV, a bookshelf. All of these things can serve as stops. Remember, stops are just places within a location which you can bind images to. In the bathroom, you have a bath, shower, or both, a sink maybe. Just remember not to cram too many images in one spot, but these are unique stops. You can imagine placing an image within the shower. Makes perfect sense. Now, once you have 12 stops within the rooms of your memory palace, you might like to check out my previous video on memorizing the Chinese New Year with the animals. That's a great, simple, almost first project to start practicing. Now, as a quick test, can I ask you to recall the shopping list of 4 items I gave you earlier? Now remember, this is going to shock you. Just close your eyes and start again from the exterior of the house. Can you remember the bread that was parked where the car should be? What about the other items? Can you remember those? This is how the memory palace works so well, because you have a great memory and just didn't realise it. There's no bad memory, there's just untrained and a trained memory. As long as you're not suffering from any particular neurological issues. But generally, for the everyday man in the street, his memory is not bad, it's just untrained. And the memory palace is one way of getting it into ship shape. So this concludes the basic premise behind how one constructs a memory palace. Now, here are some great tips to bear in mind when you have your eyes closed and are adding rooms and stops. Tip number 1, always walk the same path in exactly the same way. Tip number 2, keep the memory palace brightly lit. Tip number 3, evenly space your images so they don't crowd each other. Tip number 4, the meaning of terms are as follows. Now, if so you don't get confused, here are the meaning of the terms I use. A memory palace is a collection of locations. A location, such as a house, is a space or a room which houses stops. A stop is a thing like a bookshelf or bath where one can bind an image. An image is the thing that reminds you directly or indirectly of the thing to be remembered. Here's tip number 5. I want you to build one limited memory palace before moving on to bigger and bigger ones. You have to walk before you can run, so keep your goals more simple at first. Start practicing by memorizing lists of up to, say, 10 items. There will be many ideas and walkthroughs on this YouTube channel to get you memorizing more simple lists at first. I have the Chinese animals New Year's. I have the Mohs hardness scale. Those are of 12 and 10 lists respectively. I also have the periodic table one of 118 stops and 118 elements. That's an ambitious project. I would advise you start simple at first so that you don't become frustrated. You got to practice. Don't get frustrated if you forget an image. It happens to me sometimes. It happens to the best of us. Sometimes I'll forget an image when I'm out, but when I get it home, I can recollect it easily enough. Time and space distraction will all impact how accessible you find it. But generally, the memory palace works so well that in spite of these, it's very, very reliable. Tip number 7. If you close your eyes and find it difficult to fully visualize your home or the things inside, grab your phone or a notebook and make notes starting from the outside and jot down potential stops. You could even use your phone camera, although writing down will aid you later in developing your imagination. So that's your tips, and I really hope this helps aid you in building your very own memory palace. Now, I want you to feel free to drop a comment and ask for help if there's anything you need assistance on or ideas. But also tell me what you've been memorizing, what you're using your memory palace for. I'd love to hear. It's great to train people on how to use a memory palace because people find it shocking that they've had a great memory all along. But please like and subscribe, and good luck in constructing your own memory palace. Take it easy.